I hope so that you all are doing very well, and this is the first live session in Excellence Icon. So basically, we are starting with our chapter of kinematics. It is for IGCSE and GCE O Levels Physics. 5054 is the code for O Levels. Okay, what is motion and rest? In simple words, motion means movement. It means that the rest must be stationary in the physics language. Motion. If object is changing its position with respect to its surrounding. And what is rest? If object is not changing its position with respect to its surrounding. That's very simple. What is kinematics? Basically, the basic definition of kinematics is that the motion of object without reference of force. It means, for examples, motion of car on road. It means the movement of car on road. Running of athlete in race, like the runners who are running on in the race. Basically, this is the motion. Motion of moon around the earth. The moon is continuously moving around the earth. Physical quantities related in kinematics. Okay, so here are some physical quantities we are required to also learn, which is also the first chapter of your physics. What is displacement? First of all, remember that there are some vectors quantities and some scalar quantities. What is the scalar quantity? Scalar quantity is the only quantity who is having only just the magnitude. Magnitude means the size or the particular number. While the vector quantity has two things. One, the magnitude, the size, and the second thing is arrow, means direction. The changing of motion in in a particular direction. What is displacement? A vector quantity or a scalar? Exactly, you have learned about the vector quantity. Here is talking about in a particular direction. It means that the displacement must be a vector quantity. What is time? The interval or duration an object take to change its position. Time have no direction. It means that time is a scalar quantity. What is velocity? The changing of displacement per unit interval of time. Velocity is also a vector quantity because it have a magnitude, such as the velocity of a particular person is 2 meter per second. Meter per second is the SI unit of velocity, and what is the direction? North or northeast. What is acceleration? It is also a vector quantity. The changing of velocity in unit interval of time. What is the difference between distance and displacement? Number one, basically the distance is scalar quantity. It means that it does not have any arrow or direction, while the displacement have a direction. The total length covered by moving object regardless of the direction of motion is called distance. It is a scalar quantity as we have discussed. The SI unit is meter. The meter is SI unit of displacement and distance. This is the similarity. If an object moves 7 meter from position A to B and come back to position A, it covers a distance of 14 meter. Obviously, we are required to just sum up the 7 meter double up. The displacement is the distance measured in a straight line in a specific direction is known as displacement. Is it a vector quantity and SI unit is meter? You're required to learn the SI unit in physics, O levels. If an object moves 7 meter from position A to position B and comes back to position A, it covers displacement of 0 meters. It means that basically it want to go towards another direction and coming back to the same direction. It means that there is no requirement to sum up because the displacement is now the final displacement is position A, and what was the initial displacement? Position A. It means that the displacement is 0 meter. Difference between speed and velocity. Here's a basic trick that how can you memorize that whether which is the scalar quantity and which is a vector. From the speed starting from s, you can consider it that the scalar quantity also starts from s, while the velocity is a vector quantity, both starting from v. Distance covered per unit interval of time is known as speed. It is a scalar quantity. Magnitude of velocity is called speed. Remember this that the number of velocity is called speed. They are not same at all. Most candidates just consider that the speed and the velocity are the same, but they are not at all the same. The SI unit is meter per second. Okay, displacement covered per unit interval of time is known as velocity. It is a vector quantity. Speed in a particular direction is called velocity. Here now the speed means a magnitude with a particular direction. Now the arrow is required is called velocity. Now we can say that yeah, it is a vector quantity. The SI unit is the same, meter per second. Types of velocities. Okay, so there are uniform velocity when an object covers equal displacement in unit interval of time. Variable velocity when an object covers different displacements in each unit interval of time. Average velocity, total displacement in total interval of time. And instant velocity, velocity of an object for an instant when time interval is 0. What is the formula for velocity? Velocity is equals to distance upon time. This is the same with the speed. Speed is equals to distance upon time. That's why. What is the v? Velocity. S means distance. Distance in speed and displacement in velocity. And what is the t? Stands for time. It means that now displacement or distance. SI unit is meter upon and times. What is the SI unit of time? Seconds. It means that meter per second. From the SI unit, you can guess the formula. Average velocity is equals to total displacement upon total time. Variable velocity is equals to delta v. What does it mean? Final velocity minus initial velocity. Your overall velocity will become variable velocity will be find out. Instant velocity v is equals to limit v upon t. Means here the v is velocity and the time interval of and the zero interval of time means here must be zero. What is acceleration? The definition of acceleration is the change in velocity per unit interval of time or the rate of change of velocity. Maybe the rate of change of velocity is basically easier for you to understand, such as if there is a velocity of a particular car for 5 seconds, the velocity is 2 meter per second. After 5 seconds, the velocity has changed from 2 meter per second to 4 meter per second. It means that how much velocity have been changed? 4 minus 2 is equals to 2. So the acceleration is 2 meter per second square. So the SI unit is 2 meter per second square. Properties of acceleration. It is a vector quantity. It means that it have a magnitude and a direction. It follows the direction of velocity, obviously. Its formula is final velocity minus initial velocity upon t, means time. So what is the formula of acceleration? Final velocity minus initial velocity upon time. Now how many types of accelerations are there? Uniform acceleration when an object has a change of velocity in unit interval of time. For example, a person from rest approaches a velocity of 10 meter per second in 5 seconds. Then he further speed up and approaches to 14 meter per second in 2 seconds. Increasing acceleration. When an object has an increase in change of velocity in unit interval of time. For suppose a person starts from rest, approaches a velocity of 10 meter per second in 5 seconds. Then he further speed up and approaches to 20 meter per second in 2 seconds. And what is a decreasing acceleration? When an object has an decrease in change of velocity in unit interval of time. The example is a person starts from rest, approaches a velocity of 10 meter per second in 5 seconds, then he further speed up and approaches to 14 meter per second in 5 seconds. This is what you are required. The statement, the examples are very necessary for you to understand. So then you can understand the uniform increasing and decreasing acceleration. The word of decreasing acceleration is deceleration. Here the deceleration means when object is decreasing its velocity in unit interval of time. It means acceleration is decreasing. It is taken in negative direction to velocity. Obviously, the deceleration's value must be negative. The example is a driver is driving car with a speed of 30 meter per second. He applies and comes to rest in 5 seconds. Acceleration due to gravity. Acceleration of object when it is influenced by gravity, vertical or perpendicular direction. Its value is constant. and taken as 10 meter per second square. It is positive in downwards direction and negative in upwards directions. Alright, so this is all what we have been understanding in the chapter. If there is any difficulty